been a while since I've done one of these. For everyone who wondered exactly where I've disappeared to and why I'm only appearing on other shows and not really doing too much on my own, not going to be doing any kind of rebranding or anything like that. It's called the blue collar blues is what we'll call it, okay? When you're overworked and don't have enough hours in a day to do everything that you need to do. So, because of work schedule and a lot of overtime that I've had recently, which is ironic because, you know, we hear about the country being in the pandemic and people having a hard time finding a job, yet in my case, we're having a hard time finding people for jobs. It's that simple. There's some other factors involved. My company, I don't think, has the best recruitment program for getting people in the door. The few folks they have got in the door, they haven't exactly explained to them just what they're going to be doing, so they come in with a false impression of what the job's going to be, and they don't last very long. For example, I may or may not have had some new hires when I've been having to train them tell me that that they were told it was going to be like working in a hotel. Now, I don't know what hotel these people that taught them in orientation have ever checked into, but most hotels, you're not standing and walking for 8 hours at least a day and outside in the elements. You're not out there in the bitter cold when it's wintertime. You're not out there in the humid, hot South Carolina summer when it's hot. And you're also not dealing with that many 18-wheelers at a hotel. So, how that is like a hotel, your guess is as good as mine. So that's why we haven't had too many people last, because they come out there thinking they're walking into this, turns into this, and they don't last very long. Okay? So, because we're having a hard time getting some people in the door, yours truly here has been working like a mule. Okay, that's really it's really restricted the old YouTube schedule, if you know what I mean. But man, has a lot been going on in the last couple of weeks. Here's one that I found very interesting. Now, of course, again, YouTube schedule being cramped, I'm a little late to the party here, so don't don't judge me. Okay, I got to it when I had some free time. Okay. The Young Turks. Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian, John Iadarola, or however you say his name. These people, oh my goodness. You know how I've been telling people it's time to give up on the Democrats? And yet, whether it be for Bernie, whether it be for Tulsi, whether it be for Andrew Yang, whether it be for Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, does not matter. There are still so many people who are clung to this idea that the way to bring about change is to expect people who claim that there's a problem but want to mingle with the problem, and if they can infiltrate inside the problem, they will fix the problem. What I'm referring to in particular here, more than a lot of the other candidates that I named, are the people like the Bernies, the Tulsis, the Yangs, and all these who kind of pitch themselves as these outsiders, and they tell us, hey, the system don't work. The system's broke. There's a problem here. We're going to fix it. Now, the people who created your problem are people within this very party and people on the Republican Party. But we're going to run inside the Democrat platform, a platform that has already been proven to rig primaries, cheat elections, coin toss, the caucus, results, okay? And by the way, some of the most rigged and jacked up coin tosses I've ever laid eyes on Okay? We're talking about a coin toss that for Clinton in 2016, 4 coin tosses and Clinton won all 4. And then this past time we get the infamous Pete Buttigieg, Bernie Sanders coin toss, where the guy flips the coin up in the air, catches it in his hand, puts a thumb inside to feel it, then opens his hand up, and then closes his hand back down, rolls the coin one last time, and then, oh, Pete Buttigieg. So this is what the Democrat Party is known for doing, right? So where do people still get the idea that these Trojan horses who are announcing what their intentions are? See, that's the difference between them and the actual Trojan horse. The actual Trojan horse fooled the people they were trying to infiltrate. They made the people they were trying to infiltrate believe this was a gift. What it actually was an insurgency hiding inside the horse, waiting to strike. So if you get out there on the platform, on the debate stage, and you make your intentions clear, you're trying to take a wrecking ball to the status quo, why do you think they're going to let you do it? How do you think they handicapped Gabbard? How do you think they handicapped Andrew Yang? Why do you think they neutered Bernie Sanders? Because they're not going to allow it to happen inside that party. It's never going to happen. They're not going to allow it. Period. So I can figure that out at this point. Other people besides me have figured that out at this point. How come these politicians that we're all talking about and love so much, that are the outsiders, how come they can't figure it out? How come they haven't realized that the Democrats and Republicans are the problem, that they've been telling us that they are, and so it is indeed time to start a new third-party run and help promote a third-party run and make it more serious. Now, again, I got my opinions as to why, but we're not going to get back into that. I've harped and beat that drum enough. Right now, the focus is on the Young Turks. You see, because for the people who, no matter how bad they get shafted, see, we can associate it with the Young Turks, because there's some people, it doesn't matter how bad the corporate DNC structure shafts you every election cycle, you're going to go vote blue no matter who. They're going to do it. TYT did not champion on Hillary Clinton in the primary season in 2016. It was all about Bernie, and Hillary screwed Bernie. But when it came down to election time, even though naturally they didn't want Trump either, rather than be principled because they were afraid Trump would be so much worse, okay, they literally championed on the old corrupt hag who cheated the good candidate, Bernard Sanders. He got cheated, right? So then you're going to champion on the cheater? You're going to champion on the woman who has a abysmal track record in politics. And you heard Jank on election day, oh, come on, let's go Hillary! Like the fool he truly is. Jank Huger is so predictable at this point. What makes things worse is this time around. I seem to remember early on in the primary season when there was this strong confidence that Bernie's going to right the wrongs of 2016. He's going to fight the machine. He's going to whip the machine. He's going to put down the status quo, and it's going to be Bernie and that peace bird and whatever the hell else he had from 2016. That little bird that was the symbol of love and hope that landed on his podium and all. All this is going to swoop in. And we'll all be singing Kumbaya, holding hands going into November when we whip Donald Trump's ass. And finally, at last, our country can be something worth being proud of again. We have an old white man with policies that we like that's been elected president. He's going to give us Medicare for all. He's going to do all these different things, and the world will be in harmony. I seem to remember when they had that tone. People like Anna Kasparian completely crapping on Joe Biden. I seem to remember this cast of characters talking about, no, we're not just going to settle for a Joe Biden. That didn't age well. Predictably, the DNC did exactly what they do best, and that's crap on the people who want something from them and have some kind of sense. Even though I'm not going to say TYT has a whole lot of sense. At least they have enough sense when it's primary time to not go for the corporate candidate, right? But they don't have enough sense to have principles when they get shafted. So, whatever. But now, they're out here, oh yeah, Biden, yeah, much better than Trump, we gotta get rid of Trump. Come on, Biden, sniff some hair. Come on. Sniff some hair, Biden. Come on. You gotta beat Donald Trump. You gotta get him out of there. Okay? You want to know why I've been warning everyone, like, when I talk about continuing to follow these outsiders thinking they're going to produce change for it? You want to know why I keep telling you it's time to move on past that? Even though not all of it, and I'm not saying for those who've been disagreeing with me, whether it be on YouTube videos, whether it be on Twitter, that you're all going to do what TYT's doing and go vote for Joe Biden. Sure, maybe you want. But you're still holding on to hope that there's some hope we're going to fix things through the Democrat Party. And it's not that you have faith in the Democrat Party. You've got faith in particular people who will not separate themselves from the Democrat Party. And you're insistent that they've got the right intentions, and sooner or later they're going to win and get the change that we all want, so you're just going to stick on board that train. That's what TYT's doing, except they're taking it a step farther and still voting blue no matter who, and maybe you're not, but they are. You want to know what that gets you from the Democrat Party? After all the backtracking of your own words, the championing of Bernie to only champion Hillary after that, the championing of Bernie this time around, the trashing of Tulsi Gabbard, someone who might be a, threat to your beloved Bernie because she was younger, arguably just as good on policy, and I don't know, maybe a little more likable in some ways than Bernie. But you didn't like Tulsi, so you had trash all over Tulsi. And you told us we wouldn't settle for Joe Biden. Now you're settling for Joe Biden. Here's what that gets you. I've gone on for this tirade to get to this big point here. So if you're still with me, now we're getting to the meat of the matter here, okay? All that bending over backwards and all that Democrat ass kissing because you loathe Republicans and Donald Trump got you... Oh, you didn't even get invited to the DNC. You, arguably the biggest online news network or whatever, right? Progressive media, don't even get invited to the DNC. You were rejected from coming there. And Jank was almost literally into tears. Now you see why I'm telling you it's time to get off this Democrat train. Because that one and the Republican train are headed to one place. Hell in a handbasket. You're not going to get anything out of either one of these parties. And it's time people realize that. And understand this. For the people that you're hoping are going to bring the change, if they're smart enough to know there's a problem with the Democrat Party, and they're smart enough to know that Democrats and Republicans have been producing that problem, And they're more than likely also smart enough to know they're going to screw me. So this party's corrupt. This party's corrupt. Maybe I need to take another option and really get out there and try to build another movement because I actually care about my country the way I say that I do. So if they're not willing to do that, I'm sorry, you have to call into question, are they just trying to give you a good message and make strategical votes here and there for their own possible benefit and to still sheep herd you, but they understand that if they completely make an enemy out of the Democrat and the Republican Party, they're going to team up against them. So I'd rather keep winning elections than be a principled person and try to really do what's right for the people and potentially lose an election doing so. I'm sorry, you have to ask that question. And so that's why I'm telling everyone, time to get off board the Democrat and the Republican Party. They're not doing anything for anyone except for the big wealthy donors. That's who's getting the special treatment here. So it's time to move on. It's time to move on. And that's why I made the decision. And I'm not going to go with a party that's not even taking themselves seriously going into the election cycle. And that's the Green Party. They're so unorganized, they're so disoriented, and they don't take themselves seriously enough to let their own candidate run in every state they do have ballot access in. So I can't in good conscience vote for that. But who I can vote for, even if we're not going to agree on everything, we can at least find a common ground to vote on. And there's one thing for sure. They ain't going to be part of the two-party dictatorship that's been screwing the blue-collar middle class for over 100 years. It's one thing about it. Because this party has never been elected president. And that would be the Libertarian Party. Which is why I tell everyone again, you might not agree with libertarian philosophy on every single issue. But where we can find common ground is things like ending the wars. Something that both the right and the left seem to be able to agree upon. Donald Trump got over pretty well with that train of thought, right? Resonated pretty well with the Republican base. So yeah, ending the wars, bringing our military out of all, the Middle Eastern countries, stop all the bomb dropping, which makes things worse on global warming, climate change, all that, right? So yeah, we're making a big step in two areas there. We're starting to mind our own business again, and we're getting rid of one of the big elements that's accelerating climate change. So even if you don't agree with the rest of Joe's policy on climate change, that's already a good step in the right direction. Things we can agree upon. It's not Democrats. It's not the Republicans. They're not being bought out by Wall Street and the corporations, which means they're not going to be indebted to them when they get elected. Time to take that third party option. It really is. And if you're not going to get out there and start voting for someone besides the Democrats and the Republicans, and I don't mean go out and write in people who've already endorsed a Democrat or a Republican. I mean actually vote for someone who's out there trying to run against these two corrupt guys, okay? Who's trying to run against the Democrat and the Republican and trying to bring you something different. If you're not going to even take the time to go vote for anyone different, you're just going to continue to vote for the problem or write someone in who endorsed the problem, you're not going to get any different result. So if you're that tired of Democrats and Republicans, you need to do what's going to work to possibly get rid of them. But if you're not going to do that, hope you enjoy Democrats and Republicans. And TYT, hope you enjoy not getting invited to the DNC after all of your ass kissing. You know? Guess what, Jank? I'll end it on this. After you kiss the DNC's ass for another 4 to 8 years and wind up taking your any blue will do candidate again, will they not invite you again? Will they shaft you over again? Will they not do a single thing you liberals and progressives want them to do? Will they just completely screw you over? Of course!